Okay, so we are recording.
Yeah, we're recording.
This is automatically when we start recording, we know that we can just like be like it's all silly and stuff.
Of course
we
do.
It's like, oh yeah, we know this will be in the pre-titles bit.
And the thing is, right, I remember from the very first episode, you had no idea I was going to do an opening like that, and then you're thinking like, oh no, and it's like, oh no, what did we do? What was that for? Like we open up with chomping and tea sips and me acting like a moron.
Well, I don't think that. I mean, that wasn't the plan at all, was it? You just actually just found that so funny. So you just put it in.
And I've done it ever since because, honestly, you and I mean, I love you, but we're both goofballs. And we have to embrace that, don't we? Embrace your goofiness, people.
Definitely.
You are about to experience trash cinema.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Trash Tapes, where one man's trash is another man's treasure. I'm your host, Johann and the Inflictor of Pain, and I'm here with my DJ and victim, Edward Harvey. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I am good. Even in spite of what's been going on at the minute. Everything's going good.
Yeah, it's worrying times at the moment, but we won't dwell on it. We're just here to entertain, aren't we?
Exactly. I always believe that in times of crisis, one of the best things you can always do is watch a shit movie, because at least then you know that even in the outside world, you're probably better than that. So
Definitely. And it's the perfect time at the moment just to sit at home and just watch a load of shit.
It's true, because there's a lot, especially. I mean, you show me this. Like, I have Amazon Prime, but I never really browse through it. You, however, you seem to browse for Amazon Prime. Somebody takes pictures. Like, have you seen this? And it's like a random picture of like a half-naked woman, and it's like the killer Amazon babe from the moon or something ridiculous. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. Amazon Prime is just like a gold Aladdin's cave of trashy movies.
It's great. Yeah. Absolutely wonderful. But generally, speaking of all that, in a little bit of seriousness, obviously there's a situation out there, and we're not going to dwell on it like you mentioned, but we are going to say that when it comes to programming and things like that, we're still going to try and develop content for you. Like, yes. I have tried to develop by getting a microphone system in my house, which would be quite nice. So we're going to give that a test, and that means that maybe even during like the next however long this may go for, because we don't know, it might mean we actually have more episodes up for you guys, because we're going to make the effort.
Yeah, because a lot of the time, at the moment, we just do a podcast every month because we want to get together in person, but now that we've both got microphones and stuff, we can do more. So it'll be just a bonus to the situation. We're just trying to make the best out of a bad situation, aren't we?
Indeed. And, because I don't know when I might be coming back over. We don't know, but it still means we can still do podcasts. And then it also means that maybe once we find our Winchester, get our pint, and finally wait for all this to blow over, that we could eventually just maybe make more episodes of the podcast, which I like, because you've checked my list. There's about 250 movies we still need to get through.
Doing them monthly, we would never get through them all.
No, we eventually will when we die at the age of 150, right? We are going to go through... I'm demanding we're going to get through more movies. And one of the things I want to do is give a shout out to you guys, because we've now been doing this now for over 2 years, and it still surprises me that... especially since we've had like screenings now, because we had the Miami Connection screening quite recently. I
just have to say that is something that's really elevated the Trash Tapes.
Yeah,
it's kind of it was almost like it was like an end goal of it previously, wasn't it? Now it's not an end goal; it's something we've achieved and it's ongoing.
I know, right?
Because your thing is, when you think about people who do these kind of podcasts, like movie podcasts, and like sort of, you know, into the bad movies and stuff, a lot of them then go on to hosting screenings, but we're sort of doing that now. And we'll still doing the podcast.
Yeah.
And it's just going to go from strength to strength, I think. Yeah.
I think one of the best things that eventually would happen is we're doing more screenings. I mean, we don't know when the next screening will happen at the moment in time. It might happen a little later on.
Yeah.
But when that happens, we'll obviously inform you guys because we have ideas. Oh, we have ideas. But also in general, like, you know, it could elevate because eventually I would love to see you guys there. I mean, obviously, I have got suggestions from people online saying about what movies we should be showing, what movies we should be reviewing. From that screening alone, I've got like 5 suggestions for people saying what we should watch.
I mean, the Miami Connection screening went down so well, didn't it? It was like almost full, wasn't it, in that theatre?
Yeah, it was good. I loved it. The best reaction from that screening was when it was, "Oh, ninjas." It was, I've never seen an audience erupt so hard out of such a casually blasé line.
It was like the reaction to like Roadworks, wasn't it?
Bloody ninjas. But yeah,
so good.
It's so good. So again, for ones of guys who turned up, thank you guys very much for that, and we hope that maybe then you guys will attend the next one. Right. Before we actually go into our review, I wanted to also, we've been sharing some of these online already. I mean, Edward, you have, and so on, but
yeah,
we've got some reviews. We've got some 5-star reviews, which I'm instantly like surprised by. Right. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to go and collect all the ones we've got.
So these cross-platform, like
cross-platform. I'll tell you from what platform they were found. And firstly, we just want to say thank you. But also just, you know, it's actually really good for us if we had more reviews, more star ratings, more review stuff, because that always really works very well with the algorithm. Because the more reviews you get, and the more 5 stars or the more 4 stars, you know, just the more high ratings you get, the more noticeable you appear on the podcast rankings.
Yeah, and also, you know, when it suggests podcast after people have listened to it, if it's something like a similar type of podcast, is like it will suggest our podcast more often if we've got higher ratings. So yeah, exactly.
So if here's the thing though, if you write a 5-star review, if you really like it, we will read the review on the podcast. We'll try and read them in the next episode.
Yeah,
if you have it out there. So yeah, just if you can, write a review.
Yeah, so that's a shout out opportunity for
there you go. Yeah. So I'll read the first one out first. Well, this one was fairly recent, and it's one of our. It's amazing how well, because clearly this person has been listening a lot more than he's expected to, because he's given some really positive, almost like part criticism as well, because I like it. So this one's from Taylor. Right.
Yeah.
So Taylor says the title of it is Trashy Movies Quality Entertainment, which automatically, look, it's not quality, mate. This is not high quality, really. But thanks. It says, it feels like these guys have really found their groove. The later episodes find them adjusting their style, and as they relax into their recording and the conversation really flows, the episodes just get better and better. I keep looking forward to the next podcast coming out. Long may they last.
Awesome. That's the most recent review, isn't it, on Apple Podcasts?
Oh, you say that. There's one that just came in yesterday.
Oh, excellent.
So, yeah, but honestly,
that's the last one I've seen. So this will be a surprise to me.
So, Taylor, thank you very much for that. Yeah, I do generally think as well, like, we've gotten more comfortable now. And I think it's because we just know what to do now. And I think also because we're doing the soundboard stuff, it instantly just makes this like a literal full-blown conversation, and it makes it less, it requires less editing, less moving things around, trying to make a narrative.
It's more fluid, isn't it? Yeah.
100%. It feels like banter, which is good, which is actually the reason why this guy said, this guy, again, that was on Apple Podcasts. This one's another one from Apple Podcasts. Daniel Arter. I'm sorry if I got your last name wrong. He said, the title is Had Me Laughing. He just said, loved the banter, had me laughing, good fun. Simple.
Yeah.
But that was
excellent.
That literally came like yesterday.
Oh, cool.
So thank you very much, Daniel. We really, really appreciate that one. 2 older ones which we never really got to read, and I'm sorry if you're still around and you haven't. I'm sorry I didn't read your reviews. We're reading them now. Okay, we're gonna read them now. Again, still on Apple Podcasts. One's called Star-Lord Jack. That's awesome.
like one of the characters in the movies we review.
I know, right? Okay, so Star-Lord Jack, whoever you are, thank you. It says, great chemistry, hilarious movies. Love these guys. They are funny, they have a lot of chemistry, and have enough knowledge to have an intelligent debate about rubbish movies. Keep it up. Most of the research comes from me because I'm a snob. Yeah. And just really, I kind of feel like maybe because we're both kind of film nerds. I think the reason why we do a little bit of research is because I want context. Because
definitely.
Especially with some shit I watch, I want to somehow understand it.
Yeah, definitely. You need to know how it became that bad, you know.
Yeah, 100%. Otherwise, I'll be Otherwise, I'll be thinking, how did this even happen? How did this get past the critics and the censors and everything else? Another late one as well. Another one from the past, called Jelly Jake.
Another cool name.
Is Jake made out of jelly? That's my main question. Another one says, this one sounds kind of bizarre. It sounds like it sounds like a rambling, but I'll explain. It says, the glorious dreams of a madman. I don't know what that means, by the way. An absolute must for those who are into their freaky flicks. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Can't wait for more. So,
right, and that was quite early on, wasn't it? After we only done a few episodes.
Pretty early on, yeah. That was pretty early on. I think we didn't read those at the beginning because we were just like, oh, you were going to get so many more, and it never came. Until quite recently. We got quite a few.
Well, it's a funny thing, though. Even, like, sort of big podcasts, they don't get them all flying in all the time. It's like, it's not everyone has the time or, like, knows that they can review them. It's weird. Some people just listen. And like I know lots of quite well-established podcasts I listen to, and you look at their reviews and they've not like got loads and loads and loads. So,
true, yeah. But also as well, I think sometimes this is how reviewing works. Usually, you only review something unless you really, really like something and you want to tell everybody,
or really hate it.
Exactly. That's why all the reviews are usually like 5-star or 1-star stuff. Like you never get you never get a guy in the middle going, "That's all right."
Yeah,
it's okay. It's all right. It's never like that.
No, you've got to have passion about it.
Grr. Exactly. Oh, I've got the next one the next one's from Stitcher Radio, actually.
All right.
Okay, so this one's from Stitcher Radio, under the name Baby Driver 88.
Yeah.
So, good choice for movie. That's the case, you know. I like Baby Driver. Says, great chemistry, funny films, funny guys with great chemistry. They seem to know how to riff off some of these bad films. The atmosphere is like talking to friends. Keep it up.
That's what we want, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's totally the vibe we're going for. I want you to feel like when you're listening to us, it's like you're with us watching this piece of shit, and you are riffing and joking and following along.
Similar to like what we listen to the Horror Hangout, and they do have a similar vibe. You're like hanging out with them while they're talking about horror movies.
They pretty much are because they themselves, they don't edit. It's just them having a Skype conversation about a horror movie they've watched.
Yeah.
They are also a really good podcast, by the way. So the Horror Hangout guys, one, thank you, because I know sometimes you listen to us, but they're also very good as well. So anyone who wants to check out good sort of banter about horror movies, check them out as well. Yeah. Now, what's great is the next one is from Podchaser. Now, Podchaser, for those who don't know, is basically almost like a sort of thing like a Facebook social media for podcasts.
Yeah, it's a mix between like a podcast platform and a social media. It's new, isn't it? It's pretty new.
Fairly new. And what's interesting is that it's not just people who do reviews, it's also podcasts.
Yeah.
Can review other podcasts. And I find that quite interesting because we got 3 from them. So this is actually a shout out to all of these podcasts that I end up having a listen to, and I actually would genuinely recommend. Some of these are great. So first of all, we got a review from Coming In Hot podcast, and they're a really kind of funny comedy podcast. I recommend them. They wrote down this review for Samurai Cop, and it said, I don't know how to do it, but they sound in my head. They sound a bit like this. Fucking loved this episode. Do yourself a favor and start following the trash tapes. Great job, boys. It makes me feel like, great times. Coming in hot. And then we got 2 others. One is from Scary Stuff podcast. They're fairly new. They're only on their 3rd episode, but they seem to really like us.
Good title.
Yeah, Scary Stuff. I like that.
I'm into it already.
Yeah, it says really fun and witty podcast. Can't stop listening. Thank you very much for that. And then finally, this is one which we both like because I got into them more recently, but you've definitely were a lot more longer term fan. This is an official review from the Unofficial Controller podcast. So, hi boys. They are a video gaming sort of banter kind of podcast where it's not just like they talk about video games, but they talk about everything really. They have a theme for each episode, and they have a chat and break it down. They even have like whole like characters and stuff. They make fans.
They've got lore.
They have like a backstory. It's a podcast.
They live in a fictional village called Farmerton, and they have characters and villagers that they talk about within that town of Farmerton. It's so imaginative.
It's so out there. I love it.
Yeah,
and it's just and the thing is that really they just talk about video games, but the fact that there's lore and backstory and NPCs and shit, I love it.
Just makes it stand out. Yeah.
And so thank you for this review. It says fantastic stuff. These guys let me try and phrase this. Fantastic stuff. These guys have got it going on. Thank you. Well worth a listen. So get them into your feed ASAP. Again, thank you very, very much.
Yes, thank you very much, guys.
Those were all the reviews so far. If you want to have a shout out, leave a review on any website that's available to do that. So Apple Podcasts do that, Stitcher Radio does that, Podchaser does that as well. So just leave a review, or leave a comment somewhere. Like sometimes we have things like on Facebook, YouTube, things like that. Just leave a comment around there. We'll and if it's good, we'll give it a shout out.
Yeah, definitely.
So, there's partly a reason why we did all this first, because I personally don't want to do the movie we're talking about today. I've been purposely trying to avoid it.
But it's Doom. It's got to be good, right?
Yeah, we're doing the 2005 version of Doom.
At a distant research facility, the final 10% of the human genome has just been discovered. And with it, all hell has broken loose. Now, a call for help has gone out.
Game time. Listen up, man. We're going in hot.
If it breathes, kill it.
There's something coming up behind you. It's in the sewer! What is that? We gotta go now.
Evacuate! Evacuate!
Sir, are you okay?
2005 version of Doom. This is the one with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Karl Urban and Rosamund Pike and quite a few people in this movie. And it's interesting. And the reason why we're doing Doom is because Doom Eternal's come out. It's come out literally like yesterday, the moment we're recording this.
Yeah.
And I'm dead excited.
You haven't got it yet, have you?
Nope.
No, I haven't got it either. I'm going to get it. I'm just a bit concerned about how close it is to Resident Evil 3 remake. Because it's like, that'll come out soon as well. It's like, there's too many games coming out. It's crazy.
I'll just recommend just wait till payday, buy both, and just don't buy food for that week.
Yeah.
Just look, it's fine. We're all rationing anyway. We'll be fine. Just video games. They're going to become the future currency. So we'll do that eventually.
Or toilet paper.
Whatever works. The last time we did a video game movie was Street Fighter the movie.
Oh, don't remind me.
And I other than Raul Julia, is one of the worst movies we ever reviewed. Right. This one might be a contender. So, let's give a little bit of a feedback, a little bit of backstory onto Doom. Question, actually. Do you have actually any sound bites from the movie at all?
No, but I can play some music.
Sure. Play some music. Do it.
So this is from the PlayStation version of Doom.
Nice.
So they have a lot of mood music. It's not really like fast-paced kind of heavy metal on that version. Completely changed the tone of Doom, made it scary. So it's really interesting. But if I play this, and you can tell us a little bit about Doom with The Rock.
Indeed. So, Doom is a 2005 sci-fi horror film directed by Andrzej Batykrok, right? Now, he's Batykrok. I think he's Polish director. His movies were basically along the lines of Romeo Must Die and that kind of DVD schlock.
Yeah.
But he was also a really good cinematographer. He's worked on a lot of cinematography. He was a cinematographer before he became a director, right? So somehow he got involved in this schlock. But this movie was basically, obviously, it's based on the games by id Software, and it stars Karl Urban, Rosamund Pike, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and a few other names scattered around. The movie basically follows a group of Marines who are sent on a rescue mission in the facility to Mars, where they encounter genetically engineered creatures that they have to face themselves. Now, one of the biggest gripes of the movie eventually is we're going to go through bits and bits of the scenes of the plot, but the gripe of the film I get is that it doesn't necessarily feel like it had to be a Doom movie in the first place, because it's basically Aliens and Predator put together.
Yes.
It's Predator, the first movie, like 1,000%. Like, they even make references to, like, if it bleeds, we can kill it.
Oh, yeah. The thing is with it's like, if you think about the actual... I know the story's kind of thin in the game.
Yeah.
But it's kind of... They are kind of, like, using that whole sort of thing that's going on in the game. Like, with the whole sort of, like, creatures that have kind of accidentally been, like, made and stuff like that. And there's, like, a hell gate that's, like, kind of, like, open. And so they kind of are using bits of the game's story... but they're just kind of like not using it in the right way, and they've looked at like the things that people love about Doom, they've not included.
Well, that's the weird thing, because we'll talk about the production as it goes.
Yeah.
But the journey to making the movie is quite interesting. So Doom actually started off quite some time ago. So the movie actually kind of started production around 1994, 1995, following the success of Doom 2, right? So once Doom 2 came out in 1994, 1995, Hollywood gained interest and wanted to do a live action version of Doom, right? This made sense because this was during the time where they're already making live-action movies and video games. So they're already doing things like Super Mario Brothers, they did Street Fighter, they did Double Dragon, they've done all these kind of stuff already. So this was Hollywood saying, video games are in right now, let's make a movie about that.
Yeah.
Right? It makes perfect sense. It went to Universal Studios, initially got the rights to it, but then it was later then obtained by Columbia TriStar Pictures, so it was already jumping around as it is. The owner of it sort of stated that it kept moving around so much due to the fact that people, after a few certain things that happened in America in particular, they didn't want to touch the property. Now, the original movie was going to be very different to what we got.
Right.
I can tell you a few people who originally were supposed to star in it, because like I said, this was originally going to be in the 90s, right? So, think about it for a second. So, this was done like in the 90s. Who would be the ideal person to star in this movie?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
You were correct. This is the thing. I'm not joking.
He is Doom Guy. They based Doom Guy on him, surely.
100%. So this was it. Originally, it was announced in 1999 that the film would be made with Arnold Schwarzenegger to be cast as the lead role of Doom Guy, or later on called the Doom Slayer, right? The protagonist of the video game. Unfortunately, and this is one of the reasons why the things were jumping around different companies, is because... unfortunately, during this time, the Columbine shooting occurred.
Yeah. And
because the Columbine shooting occurred, they said that Doom was the reason why they got into guns and shit. So basically, since, unfortunately, the real-life incident involving the two teenagers who played the video game resulted in that situation, since one of the Doom Guy's weapons in the video game is a chainsaw, the film with Schwarzenegger was dropped. instantly. Because it involved things like a chainsaw and a shotgun and rifles, which a lot of the guys included in that scenario, and quite a few tragic accidents and stuff like that, they had to put it on the back burner and put it away. Right? So that was done. It was brought back to life a little later on because of Doom 3.
Yes.
So Doom 3 came out. And because then, this was now when... now, I don't like Doom 3 personally. I think it's slow and methodical and not Doom.
I really enjoyed it at the time, but I was kind of looking at it from a different perspective, because it'd been a while since a Doom game. We had like Quake and stuff, but like it'd been a while since a traditional sort of like Doom game had been out. So I was ready for like something that would change it up. So because I was into like horror and stuff, I kind of liked the horror-based kind of slower thing at the time. But now going back to it, it's kind of very... Now I know how Doom can be done up in the modern day like it used to be done.
Yeah.
I know that it's, in comparison, it's nothing. It's poor, you know.
Boring.
Yeah.
Right? To me personally, it's boring. But that happened, and they said, ooh, we could do that. So that's basically what it is. They picked the most boring version of the game and say, oh, let's make a movie out of that, which explains why this movie's so goddamn dull.
It's very, 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 like, slow-paced.
And because the game is slow-paced. The game is slow-paced, which makes the movie slow-paced, and it makes it just the worst, really. It continues on after that, so they start building up a few things. There were quite a few people involved that was supposed to come in to fix it. Originally, Vin Diesel was the lead, but he turned it down.
Yeah.
Which I can see Vin Diesel in this. I mean, he did Pitch Black.
Yeah. I've just never really liked Vin Diesel, so it probably would have annoyed me if he was...
Shock. Vin Diesel is like an American saint now. Don't you know that? Like, he saved the world through the art of driving really well. You know?
I mean, I actually kind of like The Rock, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So, like, it's like, I think it was good casting as the main guy in Doom, you know, I think.
But here's the thing, though. Realistically, he was supposed to be playing the role that Karl Urban got.
Right.
But he turned it down and decided to do the other one, Sarge, because he liked the fact that it wasn't a goody two-shoes good guy thing. In fact, Karl Urban was supposed to be The Rock, and The Rock was supposed to be Karl Urban.
Yeah, that makes sense because, obviously, with what happens later. But, like, it seemed like he was having more fun with that role, though, which is obviously why he wanted it.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. He literally said that he wanted to do that one because he just found it more like fun, and it's also. It's
more like, it reminded me of like wrestling. You know how wrestling, you're a hero for a bit.
Yeah.
And then...
yeah, he turned heel, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't going to spoil it, but we're going to talk about it later anyway. So, yeah, he basically...
About halfway through the movie, The Rock does such a heel turn. Like, it hurts quite badly. It's quite shockingly, because I personally didn't see it coming. But yeah,
it's almost like he should have just like done a chair shot on someone at that point. Someone like that we all thought, well, no, that's his best friend. No,
look, it pretty much was that. It pretty much got to that point. Like halfway through the movie, eventually, he just goes like, "Oh shit!" And like, "Oh yeah, you've just done the heel turn thing. You just knocked out your tag team partner, and he ain't coming back up."
Yeah.
Popular pie plant pictured here.
Here's an interesting factoid that I found interesting. Do you know who nearly did a rewrite of Doom?
No.
Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright.
What?
Yes, they originally were asked to polish up the dialogue, but they turned it down.
Yeah, because it wouldn't suit them. It's not them, is it? You know?
No, but imagine, look, I love Spaced, you know, and they always reference video games. So imagine if you got them to say, fix Doom for us. I bet their minds would have totally been able to fix Doom. Although the problem is, I bet you've been too meta, and it said like, oh no, we can't go through this place without getting a red key card, you know?
Yeah.
it might have been got a bit too meta with that.
Because the thing is with Doom, it needs to be like, it doesn't need to be funny. It needs to be like sort of over the top and like sort of metal, doesn't it? You know, that's the thing with Doom. It's like there's all the satanic imagery and it's sort of like gory and it's just but Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg would have made it natural because they're so funny naturally.
Yeah.
Even if they were trying to make it serious, it would just end up being funny.
Yeah, I mean, like, even in their more serious films, you know, there's always some quirky sort of wink, nod thing.
Yeah.
So, I totally understand that completely. The movie then came out and all that kind of stuff, and it didn't really do very well. To the point that I love this. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he's in and out of wrestling for quite some time. So when he was doing some inductions and stuff like that for the WWE Hall of Fame, he even joked about how Doom was a shit movie.
Yeah.
And he even said that he says it tried and failed. And he's a part of it. And he's The Rock. And I'm going to trust The Rock because, one, he's huge. Two, look at that face.
Yeah.
Look at that cute little face. You know, oh, he's so adorable. Oh, and three, I've never seen The Rock lie. Ever.
No?
I've never seen him lie. Except in this movie, because, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine him, like, originally when he got on board with it, thinking this is going to be awesome, because he probably would have thought that it would have been, you know, a bit more like the video games.
In terms of the critical response, it received a multitude of negative reviews from critics. It got a 19% from Rotten Tomatoes, which, sums it up, really. Metacritic gave it a 34 out of 100 based on 28 critics. Roger Ebert actually said this, and I think this sums up the movie for me. Doom is like some kid came over to your house and started using your computer, but won't let you play the video game.
It's what's frustrating. Like, let's sort of make it more like slow-paced and scary like Doom 3. But it wasn't scary. That's the thing. It's like, if you're going to make it slower and sort of spooky, make it actually scary. But the monsters were scary in the old Doom games. Like, when when you came across like a Baron of Hell and it was alerted, it made a noise like this. Like, whoa! And how fucking frightening was that?
God, I'm falling up.
Dropped your flat. You just dropped your iPad.
Falling apart. That was brilliant. I'm falling apart. Yeah, 100%. I'm falling apart here. Basically, yeah. The first two Doom games, and Doom 64 and all that, they were scary in their own way. They were more stressful. But because do you know when you sometimes you got a key or you say, oh, there's a key, and then suddenly 4 doors open and there's like a bajillion demons. You know, that was terrifying because you feel outnumbered. But you are being Doom guy and you're like badass. You can kill them with a couple of fantastic shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now here's the thing though. Does it have its moments?
It takes its time to get to those moments though, doesn't it? It's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, just imagine if when they first entered the area, it was just like...
There wasn't even a moment like this. There was not even a good moment where it came in and suddenly the tunes kick in and there's badassery and you're like, yeah! It's not even filled with it's not scary. It doesn't have any macho, there's nothing about this.
No, it just takes so long to get to any sort of fast-paced action that you just kind of look at your watch and it's just, when is it going to kick off? When is it going to kick off?
I know, and it's weird. It's weird that a movie that's based off something that's literally just violence and explosions is boring. Yeah. It's mind-boggling. Let's go through this fucker. So, now, admittedly, I will say this, the opening to the movie is pretty decent. It starts off in an interesting point where you have the scientists being chased down by what seems to be this horrific horrifically nasty demon. And they're being slaughtered quite nastily. That's pretty cool, right? There's bits flying about, you know, the scientist going in, making his emergency broadcast saying, hey, we're trapped. There's something here. We've unleashed something. And you go, ooh, this is good. Brilliant. And then the door CGI gets ripped open and then it cuts.
Yeah.
So we don't get to see what it is. And that's going to be a pattern for the rest of this movie. We don't get to see what it is.
Well, that's because it's like the Doom 3 thing again. It's like everything's like in shadow. And I know in some movies, like sort of that you mentioned Aliens as well. It's trying to be like Aliens. But that's done in a very clever way. Like, it doesn't show you your monster at all. But there's loads of, like, tension, stuff like that. There isn't really tension in this. It's weird. How can it be slow-paced without tension?
I know. We're introduced to this army of Marines. They are characters, admittedly.
Yeah, but they didn't need so many of them, did they? Some of them you just forget about because it's like, why did they have that one when you didn't need that one, kind of thing.
They're all very flat. They're all like 2D paper cut Marine characters. Like you have the rookie.
Yeah.
You have the rookie. You have the grizzled religious veteran character who cuts himself every time he sins against God? Yeah. What was that about?
How can he be that kind of person and be pretty much like just a grunt soldier?
That's so bizarre. Like at one bit, like they're in the middle of about to try and find one of these sort of aliens, because this is the difference. We'll talk about that when it gets to one of these little creatures, right? And at one point, he just takes out a knife and just slits his wrists. In the middle of he's in the middle of battle. He does a crucifix like on his arm.
He's like bloody Zaz from Batman.
Oh my god, he is. Well, you know what's funny though? It's like he's basically I love that this guy's doing that, and then Karl goes across and just looks at him.
Yeah,
and I love it because his face is like, shit, he's doing this again.
Yeah, he's just like doing it all the time.
It's like, dude,
it's not a very good Christian, is it? If he has to do that all the time,
it's like saying, "This is my sacrifice."
You're in the wrong bloody job, mate.
I know. Your job is killing people. You then got the pervert, who's also into drugs. He's kind of my favourite. If out of all the characters, he's kind of my favourite.
I suppose only because he's kind of interesting, like, out of all of them.
He's out of all the characters, he's the one that's most interesting, yeah, definitely. You literally have the grizzled sort of black character who, I'm not joking, reminds me instantly of some of the characters from Predator. In fact, his name is Mac, I think, isn't he?
Yeah.
And it's Mac, and the character in Predator is also called Mac.
Yeah.
They're really not hiding the fact where they nicked half this shit.
I know, and it's silly really, because Predator isn't like Doom in terms of the games and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, why be inspired by Predator for Doom? It just it's not right, the right kind of like influence, I don't think.
It's in a weird way, it should be the other way around, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, how Predator's like secretly like killing off all these things, right? You know, if it was Doom Guy would be the Predator, and all the weird, like all the military people would be like demons they would be choking and breaking necks with.
It's unfortunate they didn't really understand what Doom's all about.
Yeah.
Because it's like, in the later games, obviously, they went back to how Doom used to be. And the thing in Doom now is all about, like, the monsters are afraid of you kind of thing, because you're the scary bastard, you know, like...
Yeah, if you see some of the footage, especially from the latest game, some of the facial expressions of the demons it's like, oh no, I'm about to die. It's literally like they're terrified.
Yeah.
They look at him going, oh no, he's coming. He's coming. Why? Don't hit me in the face, please. Don't hit me in the face.
This is why you needed, like, an Arnie to play Doom guy, you know.
1,000%.
Because he would have been very intimidating and just like you watching the game, you know.
I'm just imagining, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger goes in and is like, it's like he finally gets his ass to Mars, right? He gets his ass to Mars and he goes and like, where are all the demons? It's like saying, I am Doom Guy now. Shoot, chainsaw. Best movie ever. It would just be 2 hours of Arnold Schwarzenegger chopping shit up.
Chainsaw in each hand.
Ah! So we get introduced to some of these guys as well. Then we get introduced to Karl Urban, who is John Grimm. So he's nicknamed the Grim Reaper, which is, clever. But there's a weird thing. Karl Urban's character doesn't have an iota of personality, except that he has a dark and moody secret that he won't share with anybody.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally it. Even the tone I'm talking right now is basically the tone that Karl Urban speaks in. I am grizzled.
But the thing is, in this movie, I was only really looking at The Rock in this movie.
Speaking of The Rock, he comes in eventually as Sarge.
Yeah.
And, he's a big, intimidating character. Because, The Rock is fucking huge.
Yeah.
Like, in no matter what capacity, huge as shit.
But he's a very charismatic guy as well, isn't he? So, like, he just seems... I mean, he is kind of like the main character, really, but it's kind of like... He's just stealing every scene, isn't he? Like, that's the thing. It's like, everyone else, you just kind of like, just filler.
Pretty much. The rest of him's filler, really, because, you're only there to see The Rock. And you realise that The Rock, at the beginning, you think he's the lead character because he's The Rock.
Yeah.
Even though Karl Urban was there, but, Karl Urban's not Karl Urban as we know now. Karl Urban was kind of a meh.
Yeah, and he's overshadowed by The Rock a lot in the scenes where they're both in him, like...
Yeah, because it's The Rock. And they're literally, at the moment, they go on the helicopter to get to the base, to get to the Earth base to take them to Mars. And the thing that annoys me a little bit is that, again, referencing Predator, they do the whole thing in the helicopter, having the conversation over the whole thing there. It's very Predator-like. In fact, I think they say a similar pussy joke.
Oh, yeah.
Everything that I've done, baby! The other day I went up to my girlfriend. I said, I'd like a little pussy. She said, me too. Mine's as big as a house. Yeah. You see, she wanted a littler one because hers was...
Kid, it's funny. A couple days ago, I asked Sarge for a little pussy. And the next day, he brought you onto the team.
Don't give me an excuse, Portman. No one here will miss you.
As a film nut, I'm getting more annoyed at this moment. I'm not angry at it, I'm just annoyed. I'm disappointed. It's like basically you've been copying off your best friend's homework at the moment. And he's getting A's, right? You are getting C's. And you're saying, well, if I copy his homework, I might get an A too.
Yeah, it is very much like that. And it's frustrating because, like, as I said earlier, it's kind of copying the wrong thing, really.
Yeah, it is. Here's the thing that's interesting, is that once they get to the base, they're going to the base. I do think this is awesome, though. They find how they teleport, which is cool, because it's an orb.
Yeah.
And the orb is in the video games. If you go into a corner, the red orb or whatever it is, you go into an orb, you get teleported.
Yeah.
And it's awesome that they do the teleportation orb.
Yeah, that is cool.
And it's really weird because you see Karl Urban goes first, I think it is, and you can see how he's just getting absorbed by this ball of goo that looks a little... It doesn't look too great. It looks a little bit like the liquid stuff you see in the Abyss.
Yeah, it's very much like that because, it's not really like the teleporter in the game, is it?
Nah. No, but I do like that they're using an orb that's a teleporter.
Yeah.
And the orb, makes you teleport to this place. And it's cool. And so they all go and test out this... They go into this liquid orb, and then they go to Mars, right? And then you're introduced to this character in a wheelchair.
It's Dexter Fletcher, isn't it?
Yeah! Yeah.
He makes films now, doesn't he? He's like a director. He was an actor for a bit.
Yeah.
He's a director now. And I remember... do you remember back in the day, he was in a kids show called Press Gang, where he it's like a new young reporters kind of who ran a newspaper, and then later he was the host of Games Master of it, the one that no one liked.
Yeah. Oh, poor guy.
Because everyone liked Dominic Diamond. Then it went on to him for a bit. For one season, Dexter Fletcher hosted Games Master.
Wow. I missed that. Wow. Poor him. But I'll admit one thing, like, did you find that scene funny, though, where he tried to explain how he lost his legs?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, he basically said, like, how he lost his legs. You know, the orb was, you know, it was experimental at the time. And how it basically says, I think the line was basically, it's like, one half got here, his other, his ass is elsewhere.
Yeah.
Clever. I'm trying to give props to some things in this movie because the movie is not shitly, like, composed. No. I think that's something I have to make clear about it. If the movie looked garbage, or the movie looked like it was poorly shot, or if I saw boom poles or, you know, whatever, I would probably I'll be honest, I'd probably find it more enjoyable because I have more things to poke fun of. But it's just shot well, but it's not like artistically well. It's just shot well.
I mean, it's a pro movie. It's a professional movie. It looks professional, and it's shot well. But that doesn't save it, you know. It's
doesn't do much for it at all. Thing is, there was a deleted scene, which is quite funny actually. There was a deleted scene where the orb actually would actually show where the legs went.
Right.
Which I said, why did we not see that?
I bet they didn't have that in because it would have been like very much a bit of a tone shift, like, because it would have been very funny, wouldn't it?
But it's so perfect. I needed a laugh. Yeah. I needed a laugh because it's been about 20 or 30 minutes, and this movie has, other than the opening sequence, has done nothing for me.
Just people brooding and stuff like, ugh.
Oh, I'm so serious. Oh, I got my gun. Oh my God, I'm so moody. It's so early noughties. Oh my God, like new metal. It's ridiculous. I hated it. Now,
yeah, like talking it like new metal. Like I'm always gonna with Doom. I'm always gonna talk about the music.
Yes,
and it's like the music was so sort of like meh in this. There was bits where it had like metal, but it was so like generic kind of stock metal in the background, like really, really like lame new metal. It was just kind of so quiet in the mix as well, like behind everything.
It's some of it sound like second grade Korn, and I mean, and this is Korn we're talking about. Korn aren't the best band ever to be a second grade Korn. Jesus, buddy, wow! It sounds like stock music. It's ridiculous. So, let's get back to the point here. So they all get teleported. You know, we meet Dexter, who lost his legs. And then we get to Rosamund Pike. Now, Rosamund Pike, bless her, she's trying to do an American accent. I don't know what that accent is, but it's not American.
No.
It sounds like it sounds like an Australian trying to do an American accent.
I mean, the thing is with her, she's a good actress, but she's not really good in this, is she?
She's really bland in this. And it's again, surprising because you know The Rock can do good. You know that Karl Urban can do good because we've seen him and stuff afterwards. That's mind-blowing. You know, she can do really well. I think basically the material was just flat in this as it continues on. So Rosamund Pike comes in. She's one of the doctors. But she's also Karl Urban's sister.
Yeah.
And this is one thing. We've got the one black guy who's constantly hitting on girls. And it's really weird because I think there's one bit where Karl Urban saw saying you're being broody. He's like, I'm going to talk to you about it. And then the black guy goes like, damn man, what? It's like, damn man, why do you leave that tail over there? It's like, she's my sister. Like, don't say it like that. She's my sister. It's like, oh, no shit, man. It's like,
but is she single?
Exactly. Exactly.
That kind of shit, isn't it?
You've seen it been played out so many times. You got the creepy guy comes in and he's trying to tell all like the citizens to calm the shit down.
Yeah.
Right. And he's telling like all the women, it's like say, look, we have to call this a situation. We have to call a frisk search. You know, it's like, oh dude, this is not the time. It's not the time.
Yeah. You know, like the creepy guy, it's like the pervert type like soldier. It's like, how is he a professional soldier in this? It's like, surely he should have been arrested by now.
Most of these guys are incompetent.
Yeah.
The rookie has never fired a gun. I get it. Okay, whatever. We got a religious zealot who doesn't like doing things and will still do it anyway, so he cuts himself. You've got a guy who is a pervert and a druggie. You've got another one who's just trying to get laid. And then you've got a guy who's so grim, his surname is Grim. And then you've got The Rock, who is just following orders. I'm here to follow orders. That's literally all he does. And you just, and I'm getting mad. And I don't know why. I'm not even supposed to get mad. But I'm just saying, like, have some personality that can not be described in a word. You know? Oh, okay.
No, you're right to get, like, worked up about it, because it's bloody frustrating.
It is. They finally go into the facility properly, and so, like, we've locked things off because there's been some crazy... We see some... We don't know what's happening there, but there's bodies everywhere. People are going crazy, stuff like that. They, you know, and at the beginning... It looks like, oh, it's getting cool. They're going to do some military stuff. They're going to get in. They're doing things like, say, eyes on my six, you know, they're doing the military stuff. They're scouting different rooms and stuff like that. It's looking cool. It's looking all right. All they're doing is, like, they're just going out rooms and saying, room's clear. The room is clear. The room is clear.
So how many times do you need to do that? Like,
the room is clear. Like, okay, right. So where's all the good shit? Where's the monsters? They get the scientists. They find the crazy scientist who's a zombie kind of thing.
Yeah, so that is kind of like a Doom enemy, because you get, like, the zombie people, don't you, in Doom?
Yeah. Because so you get the so you get two of them. They end up going into, like, what seems to be like the animal research lab, and that's kind of cool. The guy turns around and he actually sounds a little bit like the zombie in Doom. A little bit. He kind of goes around and he's eating like a ferret.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. But I mean, the thing is, the soldiers, the zombies, in the Doom games were soldiers, infected soldiers, which is kind of cool, because it seemed like you were the only one left who was human, and a lot of the soldiers had been turned into zombies.
And then they see the scientist again, the doctor who did the original message, and this bit was kind of cool, but I didn't really get it. But he starts going crazy. He rips off his own ear.
Yeah, it is. Like you say, it's only the fact that it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You don't really know why it's happening. Like,
he then gets taken to the medical facility, into the little bit there, and you know the other crazy thing gets killed off. Gets killed off, and they're trying to get all this on. They're basically trying to find all the missing doctors, who most of them by now have either gone crazy or are dead. And turning back as zombies. So they finally start doing this, and then they go to one of the only cooler bits, but it's taken a while to get there. It's the sewer level.
You say level because
it is a sewer level. It's an actual sewer level.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so so the sewer level happens. They go down. The military guys go down. They go around the sewer. Blah blah blah. Right. The kid talks to the creepy guy and says, "Hey, do you have any drugs? Because I am anxious as shit."
And of course he does.
Of course he does. And so he's that wide-eyed and high, right? And so he goes into the goddamn, like, sewer level, right? And everything's all quiet. It's very dark.
Yeah, it's a good sewer level. It's like every time you have a sewer level in a game, it's kind of really creepy, isn't it? And they kind of do capture that kind of sewer level.
Yeah, it's also just full of shit water everywhere, right? It's not too bad. Like, I'm not going to lie, that bit's not too bad. The only downside, I think, also this, I think, counts for the whole film. I think it's too dark, and I'm not talking like it's too gritty. I'm saying, put on some fucking lights.
Yeah, you could see a lot of noise, couldn't you, on the footage, because it's like, anyone sort of who knows, like, filmmaking, you kind of, like, have to... Yeah, you have to shoot, like, a dark scene so it's a bit lighter so that your camera doesn't kind of get noise, and then you darken it in post, you know, like, you use, like, but, like, they didn't. It seems like they actually shot it really dark. And they've got, like, ridiculous, like, blue kind of, like, backlighting to try and, like, sort of get some highlights and stuff, but it's just, like, too much.
I get what they were trying to do. They're trying to replicate the whole Aliens corridor sequence. You know the bit where Ripley goes down to try and get Newt, and that's the look they're going for. But even then, that scene had fucking lights. And then we get the first demon-looking thing to come out. But I can't fucking see anything.
Yeah, just like the odd lots of flash and sort of highlights on it and stuff like that. And it's just... No, but I think, going back to what I said, I think it's just because the monsters probably just look shit. So they just had to darken them with lights.
But here's the thing, though, actually. The later on in the movie, when they finally kill one of these things, right? I love that The Rock just drags his body into like the hospital bit. This make me laugh, actually. Where it goes to like Rosamund Pike and goes like, "Well, can you explain what the fuck is this?" It just shows this cacodemon thing, and just like, rah, and it's just like, I don't know what that is. It's like, that was a friend. That made me laugh because it's just like this reveal.
I mean, I don't know what happened with the whole creature thing. Whether they took the influence from like Doom 3 too much with the monsters, or whether they because some of those the enemies in Doom are really frightening. Like the design of them, and why couldn't they just use some of that? Like, remember like you said, Cacodemon. Cacodemon were actually those big Cyclops type things. They were fucking frightening, weren't they?
I love these I love the cacodemons. These big floating orb ball things. You have them. You have the brain with the claws. You mentioned that. That's the something Tron, I think it is.
The Arachnotrons are the ones that, like, the smaller ones with like little lasers. Like plasma rifles. And then you get the Spider Masterminds.
Yes.
You have a fucking two chain guns on the front.
I mean, and then you got like fucking like Minotaurs. You got fucking everything. This is where you could get really creative. But this is the problem. Eventually, we get to a scene where the sister and the brother are talking to each other, and they find what seems to be an ancient alien that used to live on Mars. So it's not Hell that's doing this. They discovered that these sort of weird humanoids from Mars have a 24th chromosome. And for some reason, this is what's causing them to create these weird fucking demons.
Yeah, which is a problem, because it's not what Doom's about, you know.
Doom's about hell. It's actually about hell. Every game, including Doom 3, was about hell.
Yeah. Do you think, was there some kind of reason with that? Because the thing is, why introduce, like, a very Christian guy... Like with this like sort of like, oh, I've said his name in vain, I'm going to cut myself. Why introduce him if you're not going to have the anti kind of thing of that? You're not going to have the Antichrist. You're not going to have like the whole satanic vibe.
Well, here's the thing, actually. Partly is because the movie was edited and rewritten several times.
Yeah.
And the reason why it was rewritten and edited several times is because they didn't want them to... Because Doom was so famously associated with dangerous crimes and Satanism. They didn't want the movie to represent it. Even though the game is all about over-the-top violence and hell, they said, we don't want any mention of Satanism, and we want to tone down the violence.
It's just, then you can't have Doom then.
Exactly.
You got to call it something else. You can't have that. It's really sort of pisses me off the fact they've got the Doom name when they're not being Doom.
This is the thing as well. Like, this reminds me. When I was watching this movie, this is the thing. Like, you'll get this as well, and I don't think you'll like it either. It's like I was getting a lot of Ghosts from Mars vibes.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Like, too many, and that's not good. If your movie's reminding you of Ghosts from Mars, one of John Carpenter's least memorable movies.
Yeah, it's awful.
The Rock finds the BFG.
Yeah.
He does find the BFG, and that's quite fun.
The Bioforce gun.
Yes. They call it the Bioforce gun in this movie, when really, we all know what it's called. It's just a big fucking gun.
But what I did like is I thought that they weren't even going to call it by its real name, but the Dwayne actually does say big fucking gun, because that's what he calls it.
Yeah.
But actually in the game, it's known actually as the big fucking gun.
Yeah, it's a big fucking gun. There is a big fucking gun. Okay, so 2 interesting facts about it. Okay, so number 1, the locker that the BFG's in, because I love this. At one point, he's curious about the Bioforce gun, right? And he's trying to get into it, but he can't. So later on in the movie, he finds a hand.
Yeah.
Scans it and goes in, and then dials the designated thing. Now the BFG is in a locker, right? At that point, it's this big thing, right? The locker storage is designated in an area that's basically IDKFA. Now, if you're a Doom guy, you probably have a little idea what that code is. Do you have an idea?
Well,
IDKFA. It's a code.
Is it? Oh no, I'm not familiar with what
Okay,
it
so
means.
that's actually the cheat code for Doom to get all the keys, all the weapons and ammo.
Oh, see, I don't use codes.
Oh, you were just like, oh, cheaters, meh.
I just play the game normally. I don't put cheats in.
Oh, I see
That's why I
now.
don't know it.
Okay, all right. I'm a big cheater then. All right, but here's another thing as well. There were 2 versions of the gun. Right? There are 2 versions of the gun, and The Rock owns both of them. Because, of course, he is. But whenever it launched, it vibrated. So when it did this, it go... So it'd vibrate. So he's got 2 So he's got 2 working, vibrating BFGs.
What I found interesting was... I don't know about you, but they with the design, obviously the design of the BFG in that movie looks like the BFG in the Doom 2016. So they're all. It's weird because there were some things that were taken from this movie that were kind of like, I do actually like that, and they implemented that in later games.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wouldn't even have anything from this movie. I wouldn't have incorporated anything. I think they've actually gone back on themselves, because if you look at what I've seen from Doom Eternal, they've gone back to a lot of the original designs of some of the weapons, because it's like, if you remember, there's a scene where a guy, what's the big black guy called?
Mac.
Yeah, he's like fighting a massive demon.
Yeah.
Which looks like a Hell Knight from Doom 2016.
I think, this is them testing the waters.
Yeah.
I mean, the new Doom 2016 was them testing the waters, saying, do you people still like Doom? Do you want to shall we just make a Doom? We'll put some stuff you like from the last game, 3. They probably were doing stuff like that. And then they realized, we love all the gore and violence and ridiculousness.
Let's put some Mortal Kombat death moves in there.
Oh, I mean, the glory kills are amazing, right? Eventually, loads of people get killed off. Mac has a really interesting fight in what seems to be an electric cell.
Yeah, it's a good fight. That's with the Hell Knight thing.
Yeah, that's with the Hell Knight. You get... The creepy guy gets nearly devoured in the bathroom. That's pretty cool. See, the deaths are actually not that bad. They're really kind of cool. The only problem is they're too far between. They're kind of really stretched out. And you're not really interested by that point, because you find everyone's a dick.
Yeah.
And then, Karl Urban and the whole thing and everything else. So... Everyone's get killed off one by one. The old religious guy gets killed off. The Mac gets killed off. You get the pervert gets killed off, and then you got the black guy who's macking on Rosamund Pike. Constantly, by the way. Like, he is on it. He is so thirsty. Oh my God, stop. Right? There's one funny bit that happened a bit, because you got the religious guy who got killed off, and he's in the thing. And he becomes a zombie.
Yeah.
And this is pretty... Did you find this funny when he's like walking in and he just goes towards the window and just starts... Just headbutts the window. He just keeps headbutting it.
It's a really naff horror trope, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, it's been done so much, like... Just a zombie kind of guy hitting his head.
I think they're all saying, like, it's almost like he's trying to kill himself. And I get what it is, because he's a religious guy and he hates doing anything against God. So he's alive, means he's cheated God again, blah, blah, blah. So he's trying to kill himself by knocking him out. Oh, knocking himself up by hitting himself on the head multiple times with glass. They're starting to notice that all the dead bodies are starting to come back. So they start isolating the area and saying, everyone get a gun, protect yourselves, no one leaves the facility. The Rock is now saying, kill anything that moves.
Yeah.
Rock's gone full heel turn.
And the reason why we say it like that is because it is very much like that, because it's like he hasn't shown any signs of being like unstable or kind of like sort of, he just all of a sudden goes like pretty evil, doesn't he? Like it flips out.
Like this. The whole point he's basically saying, he's like, I'm just following orders, right? And it's like, no, you're not. Like, you're taking it upon yourself now, right? A lot of people are actually saying, like, we shouldn't be doing this without backup. We shouldn't be doing this without backup. And just, I am the backup.
I'm thinking, you're not Doom Guy, mate. You're
not. And then, so does he end up, like, shooting the rookie? He shoots the rookie, doesn't he?
Well, the rookie doesn't want to kill a, like, sort of room full of women and children, basically.
Of course, which makes sense.
We have orders to contain this threat by any means necessary.
So let's evacuate the uninfected and blow this place to hell.
And we have orders to protect this facility.
We don't have orders to kill innocent people.
We have to stop anything from getting to the surface. By any means necessary.
There's a storeroom to the south. It's got like 20 people holed up inside of it. We gotta do something.
Your orders were to clear that sector. Is it cleared?
No, I told them to stay put. They're okay. They're just scared shitless.
We kill them all. Let God sort them out.
This is wrong. I think...
Son, you don't think! That's an order. We're in the field, soldier.
Sarge, if nothing's found,
now you will obey the direct order of your commanding officer.
No.
Now.
Go to hell.
Holy shit! Mutinous insurrection is punishable by death.
Before he can go, finally goes full heel turn and ready to take on Ric Flair for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. Zombies just break out. And so Karl Urban and the black guy and everyone else has to hold back their differences a bit to shoot down this whole corridor of zombies, which admittedly is kind of cool because the zombies are just piling on top of each other. They're just kind of like mowing down. They're becoming this. Finally, we're getting some gory blood because there's people getting chopped up into pieces, lots of bullet fire. It's like, finally. But this is about an hour and 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, it's taken so long to get to that point. And we're a bit tired by that point, aren't we?
By that point, we're done. We're tired. I'm fed up of it. We're all sort of like, what the fuck? We're done. Right? So they get to this point, and then they finally mow down, like, most of these people. And then, so, to escape, they all go into the orb and go to Earth. Teleportation noise. Right? They get to Earth, and they're about ready to, like, get on with it, right? But before all that happens, by the way, it's like everyone's shooting around and everything else. Karl Urban finally gets, like, severely hurt. And so Rosamund Pike finally says, we're going to try something. Gives him the 24th chromosome.
Yeah, because there's been a whole sequence where she's basically said that not everyone will go evil with, like when and so she kind of, they take a gamble on it, don't they?
Yes, say you can either be pure evil or you become a badass.
Yeah.
Luckily, you became a badass. And then this is the part of the movie where it finally starts feeling like Doom. And, like, obviously the bit beforehand where they're mowing down zombies is pretty awesome. Good. We're getting there. And then the best scene of the movie. It's the first-person view.
Yeah, which is like... it's like a theme park ride. You know when you go on a theme park ride and it's got a cool sequence that's like sort of choreographed and it kind of just happens in a row. And it's just like, it's very, very exciting, that scene. But also at the same time, it's like he's only using like one gun the whole time, which it doesn't feel like with Doom, you would like have different guns.
It's true, he had the one gun, but he did get a chainsaw.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. A little few facts about that sequence. Number one, it took 14 days to shoot that sequence alone. So just the first-person shoot took 2 weeks.
Because it's like a long take, isn't it?
It's a long take. It was done pretty well, though, I have to admit. But also, and here's the thing that's also a cute reference as well, that some points, it doesn't aim correctly, straight up or down, right? And it's a reference to the first few games where, if you remember, you didn't have to technically aim exactly at the monster. You just had to aim in its general direction.
Well, it's because you couldn't look up and look down. So if there's a monster, if there's a monster in the game, it'd be really weird.
I'm just thinking all the monsters come out. It's like, hey.
So if something was like high above you, it would just shoot up automatically.
Yeah.
Even though you were pointing straight ahead.
Yeah, so there was a couple of references to that. And I mean, the whole sequence is pretty cool. I think it's done very, very well. It's about 15 minutes long. It's pretty decent.
Yeah.
It's moody. It's cool. It goes for all the bits.
I mean, it needed this kind of music, though, didn't it?
Yeah.
Because he's just going through, ploughing through, like loads and loads of enemies. And that's kind of how Dune 2016 kind of has that vibe, doesn't it? Like, it's kind of like, it's just metal. It's tech metal.
I'm thinking, like, finally, we're getting some Doom. So we're getting chainsaws, we're getting shotguns, we're getting, like, mowing down enemies. He's being clever about it. He's just being, he's finally being a killing machine. And to be honest, Karl Urban, actually, he'd be a very good Doom guy, because his face, his head, it's got that square jaw thing, just like in the original Doom, where, you know, he's just got, like, the square head situation. Kind of looks, it'd be fucking awesome. So finally, he gets there, and then he goes and faces the Rock. And the Rock is now infected. And the Rock, this is by far the movie loses the plot, says fuck you, and it's just brilliant by this point, because the Rock becomes a monster.
Yeah, and did you find, you know, when they go head to head?
Yeah.
It's like melee combat. That's not Doom. You don't fight, like, it's just like you don't have fist fights in Doom, do you?
I was waiting for, like, I wanted, like, a fight between him and his shotgun and the Rock and his BFG. Yeah. And, like, we need shotguns and BFGs.
Because when they first sort of realised they got to fight, obviously the Rock has got the BFG, but he's only got one round in it, but he kind of fires it and Karl Urban, like, dodges, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But so after that point, they just haven't got, like, the weapons.
Yeah, but on top of that, he basically uses the whole excuse, like, it's like, we're real men. Real men fight with their fists. They do that kind of bullshit. So they just wailing on each other.
Yeah, and it's like, it just kind of felt like we're going to put this in because The Rock is a wrestler, so we can have some, like, wrestling type fighting. It almost looked like he was going to do a rock bottom on it at one point.
At one point, I swear he did. He totally did a Samoan drop or something like that. And he's just, like, clobbering clothesline shit like that. Right? And so, finally, they do a bit of wailing, right? They throw... Karl Urban basically wins. Throws him into the... throws the Rock into the sphere to take him back to Mars. And then throws a bomb in there.
Yeah.
Takes that up to Mars... And the Rock explodes in a wail of glory. And I love it because the Rock's lying on the ground, his eyes like this. He suddenly just sees a bomb fly in through the orb. And his face is just like, no.
It's like, oh, shit.
He basically knew it was over.
Yeah.
He knew it was over. And then you end on the shot where Karl Urban's got Rosamund Pike and goes down an elevator, looking like a badass, and it ends.
I think, like, The Rock, when he died, should have been like this kind of sound.
Brilliant. I wish that was the sound. Oh,
that's the end boss death on Doom.
Yeah, I know. Oh, it should have been perfect if they had that reference in there. One thing, though, apparently, was they did shoot they had a whole miniature ready, and they shot it as well, of the Mars facility exploding in a nuclear explosion.
Really?
Yeah, but they cut that out.
No.
Apparently it's too violent. It's Doom!
To be honest, but by the time it got to that point, I was just like glad it was over.
Yeah.
So I kind of like wasn't really asking for more from it by that point. I was just like, thank God. I'll see you later.
I know. Thing is, though, here's the interesting thing. A lot of people didn't like this movie, but the head of id Software actually liked this movie.
Well, that's probably why some of the influences in the later games have kind of have been from the movie, because I don't think, like, if the developers didn't like this movie, they wouldn't have like sort of took little bits of it as reference. Like,
I guess so.
Yeah,
he liked the movie. He said that basically that he said, and I quote, video game movies are never going to be Oscar material, but it was fun for what it was. Okay, now I'm not going to lie, I did have a little bit of fun with this movie, but it took a long time to get there. So I think this is the perfect time to go into our Trashometer. Okay. So, right. So, for those who are new to this, welcome. So what we do at the end of it, we rate these movies by using the Trashometer. Now, the Trashometer is divided into 5 sections. So you first of all have tame, which is, it's boring. We didn't really have a lot of fun with it because it was boring. You have a little bit trashy, where it had a few moments, but you could have, pushed it to the next level. Trash, which is the sweet spot. It's perfect. Too trashy, where we're getting annoyed at it because we're getting frustrated, things are not going the way they should be. And then there's torture. And torture's basically, it's the fucking worst. Now, what do you think this falls under? Because I want your opinion on this, because I have a point.
I can normally I'm like umming and ahhing for a bit. I can tell you straight away, tiny bit trashy.
You think so?
Yes. Why? Just because, when you summed it up in the description of what that rank is, it's only got like little bits where it's like, oh, that's kind of cool, that's kind of trashy. The rest of it is shit. So it's only got those. If it was like, I was thinking it was going to be tame, but if it's like tame, it wouldn't have like the first-person shooter type bit or something like that.
I guess so, but I feel, this is the thing, I'm tempted with tame, and the reason why I'm tempted with tame is because until that point, it's the most boring boring action film I have ever seen. And I find that a problem, because if it wasn't for the fact that there was it wasn't for the fact that they had the first-person shooter bit, I wouldn't remember a thing. Yeah. But I think, it's because of that sequence. Like, one scene doesn't save a movie.
No.
And not only does it not save a movie, and yes, I got excited at the end, but it's far a little too late. Like, I need more of this constantly I needed more of it to even be remotely a tiny bit trashy.
Yeah. So, I suppose, if it had, maybe a couple more elements like that. It
like a tiny bit more.
So, yeah, I think you're right then. So, tame. Like, the lowest ranking.
Jesus, this is like our second film we've ever done as a tame.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's
definitely
sad. So, it's a tame. It's not even going to have to go that high. It's just a tame. Yes, this movie is boring. It's a tame.
Yeah.
I even argue that Doom Annihilation, if I was going to put it on the Trashometer, that's a little bit trashy. Because the ending goes fully bonkers by going to hell. And that's weird, because a lot of people are really criticizing that movie. And every right so. It's cheap. It's a knockoff. It's garbage. Just watch the last 20 minutes on YouTube. And same with this movie. Just watch the first-person shooter scene on YouTube. Just all to say thank you guys very much for listening. This is your first time. Thank you. We have loads of things going on at the moment in terms of where you can find us. We are on every single streaming service now in terms of podcasts. So if you're listening to us on one of them, subscribe, leave a review. If you leave a review or a comment, we will read it out on the next episode.
Definitely.
Also on the YouTubes, I sound like such an old man when I say that. On the
I know YouTube.
Are you one of those YouTubers? On the YouTubes? On the interwebs? Yeah, so on the internet, on the YouTubes, we are actually doing quite a bit of content because obviously at the moment, because of the current COVID-19 situation, we've had to do a bit of backlog. So we've actually got quite a few videos shot and ready. We're going to do some editing, we're shooting them, and we're going to have quite a bit of content, at least coming out for the next few months. So we've got loads of What Is This? Which is, if you go into the Trash Tapes YouTube, it's basically our reaction show where we just watch weird, funny, bizarre scenes from movies and TV shows, commercials, you name it. I kind of love that. We've also got like 3 Cult vs. Currents at the moment. And then obviously that's going to be on the main Enigmatic channel. And then on Enigmatic Play, there's still quite a bit of content happening there. Greg, our co-host, is currently doing loads of streams at the minute on Twitch, which is doing surprisingly well. So if you go to, where can we find what's the Twitch channel?
It's just like twitch.com/enigmatic play. It's just dead easy.
Find us.
Yeah.
And, you find Greg there quite often. Ed sometimes is on there as well. Just have a bit of time playing some video games. What video games are you playing? I hope it's better than what this movie's based off.
We just played the Blair Witch game.
Ooh, nice.
With the whole we did that game in 3 streams, which was kind of cool.
Not bad. Good.
Yeah. And so we'll hopefully be doing like Doom Eternal soon.
Yeah.
It's a follow on from this content.
That game's going to be so much better than this movie.
But yeah, also on the Trash Tapes YouTube channel, you can find a lot of our like classic podcast episodes. Yeah. That we'll be kind of uploading those over time. So obviously the most recent one that went up there was the Miami Connection one because of our screening. Yeah. But over time, like once a month, there'll be a new one on there. Yeah, we're going to keep things updated. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of content going on. So even in this time of crisis, and I know a lot of people are going to be self-isolating, you're not going to get rid of us that fucking easily, all right? We are going to be making content. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to try our best to make more podcasts. We've got loads of videos up and ready. Somewhere down the ropes, if you follow us as well on any kind of our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you can keep track of us and just our ramblings and fun stuff as well. So yeah, we are going to try and keep you entertained in this weird time. Yeah. It feels like we've got more purpose at the moment. Like, it's like content creators, and sometimes are kind of people kind of like sort of laugh at that as like a job kind of thing. It's like, well, it's not a really proper job, is it? But now we're feeling like it's actually got a purpose, because people, if they can't go out, they need to be entertained. Yeah, and we will be that entertainment. If you find us, if you tolerate us, thank you. Like I said, we will try and do as much content as we can. We'll keep you updated 100% with any kind of updates, anything like that. Maybe further down the line, we'll start making, maybe we can make more videos if we get the backlog runs out. But there will be content on either the YouTube channels and on the podcast, maybe even more than expected. So you're not getting rid of us that easily. So yeah, just a clarification. Stay safe. Wash your hands. 20 seconds. Remember that. Happy birthday twice. Happy birthday twice. Or actually, I think just play the whole Doom theme in your head while you wash your hands. What was it? One more point on that. Yeah. When I went out, like just sort of like before my birthday, when we could still kind of go out in public places. Yeah. And it was around my birthday, and I went in to the toilet, and there was a guy going, "Happy birthday to you," washing his hands. And because it was my birthday, it really freaked me out. But he was only doing it because of that whole, like, washing your hands, say happy birthday. But he was saying it like fucking a creepy Marilyn Monroe. I was going to say, I don't want him to think, happy birthday to you. It's like, please don't wash your hands. Next time you want to freak people out, either do it like that, or I just want you to like go next to someone in the bathroom stall or wherever you go to wash your hands, like go wherever it is, and as you wash your hands, you turn the tap on, you get your soap in, just go.
scrub, palm, back, thumbs, ankles, whatever. Just clean yourself with this on, and you're gonna get all the attention. You'll get my attention. I'll tell you that right now. I'll be like, yeah, you've been listening, you've been paying attention, you're rocking out. So yeah, and on that perfect note, we're gonna end it. We're gonna end this today's episode. So until next time, keep an eye on your trash. There might be some treasure in there. And also, make sure you get your BFGs ready. See you guys later.
See you guys.